Hi guys, it's me Ty here, coming from Da Nang, Vietnam, and today I'm making this video not just for you guys, but mostly for me. And it's going to be comparing the different women from all these Asian countries, both physically, mentally, and uh, and all that of who I want to have babies with in the future. And because it's like one of my friends used to always say, if you have rice every day, you want noodles. If you have noodles every day, you want rice. You want somebody, I want somebody that's different than me. Because I bring certain things to the table, but I want somebody else to make up where my shortfalls come in life and vice versa. You know, I think that's why, like, even for like best friends, growing up, you always learn, like the little boy that gets bullied, he always hangs out with the biggest guy. And the same as in the USA, where the shortest girl always dates the tall 6'7" guy. That's just the way that's in the United States growing up. Well, guess what? On this side of the world, that's what I see too. The women, the super short women, they always go for the super tall guys. Everybody wants somebody that's different than them. You get to look at your face every day in the mirror, and you want to see somebody else in the morning when you wake up that looks different than you, because it's you need variety in your life. So yeah, with me being here in Asia, like I said in all my videos, I'm looking for a good woman to start a family with, and someday, build watch my kids grow up, with the holidays for Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that, and you talk to like all the older generation, and they're like, the the one thing that they always say is, find somebody to spend the rest of your life with, and have kids, and like I was even doing my research, and like of how much time that a person really has. For us men, it doesn't matter. I know a guy that's 68 years old just became a dad in the Philippines with his 30-year-old wife because she didn't have any babies, and there was no way that she was gonna um, not have her own kids, and like I think he had kids from like a previous marriage years ago or whatever, and I completely agree with it. I mean, it's um there's that woman only has, probably 15 years left to have a baby, and to go childless, and and then also, like he says, this is probably the happiest he's been in years, this man. He said those little kids, they make him feel young again, um and even in the United States, a lot of my buddies too, they ended up marrying women that were 20 to 22 years younger. I know it's not the norm, but a lot of my coworkers have, and they're not from Asian cultures. They're normal European women that are 20 to 22 years younger in the United States. So, first of all, I'm going to go about my dating experience in the United States over the years too, and each of these countries. Okay, starting out from uh, like even eighth grade in the United States, ever since we're little boys, we were always conditioned in the school system that the boy, he's the protector, you always let the mother go first. Like we even had um, a how to say it, a little role that we had to play in our English class when I was a kid in like the 1990s, and it was they always said, okay, we have this plane going down, and you're on it, and we have a priest on it, we have a pregnant mother on it, and so on, and every one of us boys in that class, we chose, because there was only one parachute on that plane, we chose to give it to the pregnant mother because that's what we're conditioned to. That little baby needs a new life, and because she's a woman, and it's kind of that knight in shining armor uh, thing is what it is, and it's not just being taught that as a little boy. I honestly believe that it's in our basic instincts to to protect the female, and and in return she appreciates us, and so in the United States, we were conditioned back in the 1990s that the image of beauty is the 5'8" tall, blonde haired, blue-eyed girl, and which when I was growing up, that was Cameron Diaz. She was the sex symbol of the United States, and I honestly believe that she still is that for the United States there, and definitely beautiful, you know. But the problem with that is that with feminism coming in, you know, that their gender role of wanting a knight in shining armor, like all of us boys were meant to be, and that's what actually makes us the best version of ourselves. Uh, um, that the women nowadays in the United States or Western cultures that they don't want that anymore, and it kind of emasculates us men, you know, and it we don't we aren't living to our highest potential, and that's when I actually felt the most alive in my life because I used to have that life. Back in the United States, in my mid 20s, I was big into bodybuilding and everything, and my girlfriend, she was just like Cameron Diaz. My girlfriend had She was 5'8", super thin, blonde hair, really thick blonde hair, all the way down to her butt crack, beautiful blue eyes, round face with a super wide smile, just rows of teeth. She was beautiful, you guys. But as she got older, uh, she she kind of wanted to take on the feminism role. It wasn't about not wanting the man in shining armor. Because when I first started dating her, she wanted the knight in shining armor, which is what I was. And um, yeah, eventually our relationship it blew up. You know, it was gone. It wasn't there. And I've seen so many of my people in my community that have been married to their wife, had got four lovely kids, and they've been married 25 years, and one day that woman wakes up and she doesn't love her man anymore, you know, and I think a lot of it comes to also that with the shortage of women that we have in the United States, you know, by shortage of women, I'm going to also say women that don't have kids from a whole bunch of other men. Uh, that yeah, there just aren't many options there. So they've always got 10 guys knocking on their door, hitting on them, even though they're married. And I guess I can kind of see how that would be a big temptation for them. So, but yeah, like these couples I see that have been married 25 years and just one day she wakes up and just leaves. Um, they were a beautiful couple. The man's a good looking guy too, and it's just the way it is. You that remember a priest said one year when at church when I was a little kid that thing you have to remember about life is nothing lasts forever. Your marriage probably won't last forever. Nothing will last forever other than death and what comes after it. And then, of course, taxes are guaranteed too. In other words, nothing is guaranteed in this life. So later on, I ended up finally coming to the Philippines. When I was 31 is when I started kind of researching into Asian cultures. Well, actually, it wasn't even Asian cultures. It was the Ukraine at that time. And I, at that time, you know, we kind of just have like, because since our Asian community in the United States is so small compared to the rest of the world, um, it's, you kind of have of what people should look like or whatever. So, um, but the place that I ended up actually coming to first was the Philippines, Manila, Philippines. And I met my girlfriend online there. And the thing about her is she is the most kindest, decent human being I have ever met in my life. Um, and you know, it's tough to say that, you know, like we all feel like our mother is, and my mother is too. But like this girl was probably even more than that. Um, so yeah, like I ended up catching E. coli poisoning in the Philippines, and I had diarrhea terrible. I was puking like crazy. I was hooked up to an IV in the ICU for 2 days in the hospital. And this this woman here, she was 22 years old, senior in college, you know, and my girlfriend there, she slept on the little couch or whatever next to my bed and never left my side the entire time. Like even for my meals there, she usually had her sister and brother-in-law. Uh, bring up food because I was so used to Western food. They didn't have that at the hospital, and if she did leave to get me food or whatever, it was always while I was like passed out, sound asleep at the hospital, and like even for using the toilet there, I was hooked up to the big IV thing there, and she would. So I'd start wheeling it there because me, very independent, coming from America. I expect nothing of anybody else in this world. Nobody owes me anything. It's just the way I grew up, my culture. And she'd always come there and she'd be like, "Oh no, no, let me take that, the wheeling thing to you or whatever, and wheel you into the bathroom or whatever." And I would pretty much have to tell her to leave the bathroom. She's because I was like, "No, no, no, no. We us Americans, we have to go to the bathroom in private. We can't, even if you're my girlfriend. No, you have to be in here." Um, so yeah. uh, so with that there, of why that ended with my girlfriend was because um, she really liked me, but and all my friends and family told me, she'll grow on you or whatever. And here's something I kind of found out about myself. As we all age, we kind of learn about our own personalities and what we want, and all of that. And I learned that I'm the type of person that um, just because somebody's super nice or whatever, that they make the perfect mate for me and everything. If I don't have that like initial spark and like physical attraction where I'm just like crazy about this person, I think they're super sexy or whatever to me, that it's never going to happen after that. Like I need that initial spark in my life. And with her, I didn't have that. Like I didn't think that she was. I wasn't that physically attracted to her, I guess you could say. So I dated for her for a year, and then I ended up breaking it off because I want to have babies of my own someday, and she wants to have babies of her own someday, and especially in the Philippines, where yeah, like she told me, if a woman's over 25, she's considered an old maid. So I was gonna waste her youth because, like I said, she was 22 and I was 31. So, and I didn't want to waste my years too. I want to have babies of my own and everything. Even though us men can have it young, babies that older, like my buddy that's 68, becoming a dad. So, and then also another thing about the Philippines is, they call them Asians, but I will tell you guys right now, they're not Asians. The only reason they say that is because they live here in Asia, which Russians, they live in the continent of Russia too. We don't call them Asians because they're not. Um, so the Philippines, when I want to explain what those girls look like over there, all you got to think about is from your childhood. Like Saved by the Bell, like people going to luau's in Honolulu, Hawaii, and roasting the pig on the fire. That's what Filipinos are, you guys. They're Pacific Islanders, is what they are. They're not actual Asian people. So naturally, with the Philippines, they're very short there too. They're the shortest people I've ever ran into. Me and my girlfriend were outside, walking outside the mall after a movie or whatever, and we were all waiting for the jeepney to show up. There must have been 12 of us out there, and I accidentally stepped on this girl's foot. She had her back to me, and just because it was so crowded or whatever, and I was like, "Oh, sorry, sorry, sorry," and she turned around because she was only 4'7", this little girl. She was a 45-year-old woman. That's how short and tiny the people are in the Philippines. The majority of the women there were 4'7" to 5 foot tall, and my girlfriend was one of the tall ones. She was 5'2". So, um, so that's how that is. And then when you're dealing with people that are that small, they if they gain any weight, they it shows because they're so stout. So that's the thing you have to remember about the Philippines. If your girlfriend gains just a few pounds, you will notice it right away. And with Asians here in Asia, like I'm not gonna say just the Philippines, but like in the United States, like when a woman gains weight, it's always in her ass. She gets a big ass. But in Asia, it's they gain it in their legs. They'll get huge thighs and huge calves. So after that, I end up um, on my plane back to the United States, And I was visiting with this older retired guy, and he's like, you should really go to Thailand. And Thailand had never been on my radar because as a child growing up, we just learned about more of the Vietnam War. And I remember in the video or in the pictures of the Vietnam War of how beautiful the Vietnam people were, the men and the women, just beautiful human beings. But and I for many years I still never made it to Vietnam. So I ended up going to Thailand. And I will honestly say, as of yet, from where I've been in the world, the Thai women are the most beautiful people I've ever seen. Uh, they are 5'2" to 5'4", and compared to the Filipinos, with them being taller, their body is stretched out more, so they look super thin. Uh, because like even in the United States, one of my buddies, his wife, um, European, like Cameron Diaz, whatever. Well, she was pregnant, and she was quite a ways along, and I couldn't tell she was pregnant. Like she told me, she's like, "Yeah, I've kind of fooled everybody." She's like, "With how tall and long my body is being stretched out like this, any weight that we gain, it's very not noticeable." Whereas the Philippines is the exact opposite. So coming here to and then also with the Philippines, another thing that you got to realize there too is like I don't know what type of facial structures you're into or whatever, but the Philippines, most of them have the dish nose and more of a flat face, but most of them have a high forehead. So that's another thing you have to consider there. Like whereas in America, all of our women have their hairline comes way down, and which is beautiful of American culture. And then coming to Thailand, like I said, those girls are 5'2" to 5'4" and super petite. They are the skinniest women I have ever seen. They got the toothpick legs. When they wear short shorts in the mall, you don't see thighs there. It looks like they're wearing a diaper. It's just these little toothpick legs coming out of there and little toothpick arms. And they have the broad, especially the ones from Isan, they'll have a round face. Like me, I really like girls with a round face and a dish nose and they have a really broad smile. Those are the girls from Isan up north. And Thai girls have dark skin. Filipinos have dark skin. But out of out of them, you don't really notice like the monolid eyes. Like when you think of Asians growing up, like the Chinese, you, they don't really have that in the Philippines, and it's not as noticeable in Thailand either. They have more normal eyes as well. Um, the Thai girls, very tough to find a girl with black hair. They're all going to have either light brown hair, or really dark brown hair. And their foreheads are not as high as the Filipinos, but they're not super low either. Especially like if you're in the southern area of Bangkok, where like the girls are like super skinny or whatever. And usually when you have a super skinny girl, she's gonna have an oval face, so naturally her hairline is gonna be up higher too. Well, the girl that I dated in Thailand, she was actually born up in Isan, so way up north, the farming community. So a lot of the girls from there moved down to Bangkok for work because there's more job opportunities. Because out on the farms, their parents like get a share of the crop or whatever and stuff like that, and there isn't much to do either. So, but like to this day, before that, I always thought my girlfriend in the United States, you know, I dated her for almost a year, was the most beautiful woman in the world. Coming to Thailand, my girlfriend in Thailand, she knocked my girlfriend in the United States out of the park. It's just the way it is. In the United States, women have bigger bone structure, everything. My girlfriend was 5'2" in Thailand. She had brown skin. She had the round face. Um, her hairline was a little bit higher. Like she had the Chinese veins, which is very uncommon in Asia anymore. Back in the old pictures as a child that you see, that was very common. Not anymore. Most of the girls are like um, Midwestern girls in the United States there. So, but yeah, like when she would lift up her veins, she had a higher forehead too. But she had, like I said, the long black hair, and it was thick too, all the way down to her butt crack, very feminine. Black eyes, dish nose, narrow hip bones. You look at her from the side, and her t-shirt would just fall straight down. She had no butt. And but the thing you have to realize about the girls in Thailand, like even when I was going to school there, and I got to visit with so many of them, Thai girls want to have babies with a Thai man. They told me if they are with a foreigner, whether you're from Africa or the United States or any European country, anywhere in the world, is what it comes down to. It's because of what you can buy them. And by what you can buy them, I'm talking that you taking them out to Applebee's and all these fancy restaurants every night and stuff like that. And me, I'm gonna plug in my computer here so it doesn't go dead, guys. And me, I'm a realist in life. I try not to get like too disappointed or angry about a situation. It's just the way it is, and you have to accept that because if you don't accept the way that people are, you're just gonna be stuck in that same rut for the rest of your life, just like the United States there. Um, you know, Dating there for how many years? The dating is found out that it's terrible and that the women in the United States don't want a knight in shining armor. They don't want to make their man to be the best that he can be because a man needs to be the knight in shining armor to be the best they can be, the bodybuilder, protect his family, his children, all of that, provide hard for them. And then she's at home, she appreciates him. In the United States, all the women want the man's job. They want to be totally independent. They want to have it that they're playing both sides, both gender roles. And when when you're playing both gender roles, you can't the woman can't be super feminine and be the best that she can be, and the man can't be either. They're just kind of it kind of just levels out in the middle is what it does. And you're just bland and yeah, and I don't think there's anything worse than not being the best version of yourself that you can be. So, like I said, I was in Thailand, and that's the way it is there. Even though to this day I still feel the Thai women have the most beautiful bodies, the most beautiful faces on them. They're the whole package. Other than they cannot compete with the Philippines for how loving of mothers that the Filipinos make. There are so many foreigners having babies in the Philippines and having long marriages and everything with the Filipinos. So the Philippines definitely has that one. If you're into Hispanic women though, because they're a miniature version of Mexicans. Um, it's their culture, just they're very family oriented, and then also their looks. Like my girlfriend, she was with them being a Spanish colony. My girlfriend was a quarter Spanish. So then after Thailand, when I was in Thailand, I kind of fought it for how long there. 3 years of man, these girls are the hottest, and all that. But for making it like a long-term relationship there, like I said, you have to realize that they want to have babies with a Thai man. And how else to say it? I guess the only reason I ever actually left Thailand was because of their visas to get a job. It's a nightmare to stay in Thailand long term. So that's what hooked me on to Cambodia. And I came up to Cambodia, and so far in each of these countries here, everybody's so different. Like maybe if it's your first time to Asia, you won't notice the difference. But with me being here for a long time, uh, okay, so I came up to Cambodia, and the women there are the first thing I noticed about it is the black hair. Thailand, you are so hard stretched to find a woman with black hair. In the Philippines, it can be a mix of half and half. Some have black, some have brown, but a lot of brown. And like I said, Thailand, most of the girls just have brown hair. Most do not have black hair. And I think people are claiming that comes from like Chinese influence. Well, you come up to Cambodia, and all the girls up here, pretty much everyone has beautiful jet black hair, and it's long. Uh, like the Thai girls, they'll have like when they're in elementary school, everybody has to conform. to the dress code where they'll have that shut cut at the shoulders. But once they get into high school and university, they'll have it like the same length as American women down to their rear shoulder blades. But not in Cambodia. These girls have this jet black hair, and it's thick, and it goes all the way down to their butt crack. And but these women, they're not quite as skinny as the Thai girls. They'll have a little bit more of a butt on them, but it's not big. It's kind of like even the petite Colombian girls. They're like 5'2". They've they look as skinny as a Thai girl, where they got the narrow hips and super thin, and then you look at it from the side and you just see a little butt. Whereas a Thai girl, it'll be flat, it'll fall straight down. And the same with Filipinos. The Filipinos, they got a bigger butt because they're Hispanic. Um, and here in Cambodia, uh, most of the girls don't. Yeah, like I said, they'll have a little bit more of a butt too. They don't have a flat butt like the Thai girls do. So uh, up here, like my girlfriend in Cambodia, like me, I was living and working here in Phnom Penh, so that's right next to Vietnam. So it's that side. But my girlfriend, she was born and raised in Siem Reap, which is right next to the Thai border. And I think this might be the reason that I was so attracted to her. She doesn't look like the normal Cambodian girls. She had a dark brown hair. She did not have black hair. She had brown eyes. She did not have black eyes. And she did have a higher hairline, kind of like a Filipino. Um, but she has a super broad smile, which is so beautiful. She has kind of a dish nose, almost like a monkey nose. Monkey face is what everybody calls them, but I think it's so beautiful. That's what I find attractive. And she's got toothpick legs on her. She's got narrow hip bones on her. But when you look at her from the side, she does have a bigger butt. So that's how you can tell that she's not actually a Thai girl. And we dated for about a year, but the thing that I found about the dating culture here in Cambodia, you see many foreigners pushing baby strollers around here. Lots of people have babies, Cambodians here, and um, and I could definitely see myself having a baby with a Cambodian here too. Um, and their husbands are some are retired guys, like 57 years old, 62, mostly 57. And then you have a lot of the younger couples, a lot of men from Africa and a lot of guys from Europe have babies with the Cambodia girls. So you definitely have way better options um, if you're like me and want to have babies of your own someday here in Cambodia. But the problem with Cambodia, with their women, is they like to lie. And by lying, I'm talking about how many babies they have. The first Cambodian girl I ever met, she was working at the grocery store, and I was in there every day, and I thought, oh, she's super cute because she had brown hair, um, a lower hairline, and beautiful smile and everything, and just this thick brown hair all the way down to her butt crack. Because, like I said, this is the thing that I found about Cambodia is that these women are so feminine. They like having the long hair down to their butt crack, which is not common in the United States. It's not common in any of the countries in the world that I've been to so far. Um, maybe it's just a trend or whatever, but it's just the way it is. And but this girl, I asked her out on a date. She's like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, before so yeah, I got her number and everything. And I left, and then later on the day, I came back to the grocery store. I had to grab something, said to say hi, and I was like, "Hey, by the way," I was like, "How many babies do you have?" And she said one. Well, and I was like, "Oh, sorry." I was like, "I'm looking for a girl without kids because I want to start a family someday." And she's like, "Oh, okay." Kind of bummed out a little bit or whatever. Well, maybe about 2 weeks later, I saw her walking her baby or whatever. I never really asked how old the kids were or nothing. She had two kids on her hand. About 3 months later, I run into her again. She had three babies on her hand. So, uh, yeah, they like to lie about that. And then like my girlfriend that I dated here in Cambodia, that was so beautiful and everything. She told me up front. uh, that she had three babies, I think. And then after like 2 weeks of knowing her, because we had the same friends, that's how we met each other, was through mutual friends. We were introduced. And um, I was like, "How many kids do you have?" Once or whatever when we started dating or whatever, and she's like, "I have two or whatever." And this here could have been my mix-up. She could have actually said two. Well, later on, I talked to like some of her friends, and they're like, she has three. Or wait, man, I'm trying to think here. No, no, no. She told me she has three kids. She told me she has three kids. So yeah, she's got three kids. Well, she ended up losing her job here. She ended up getting laid off. Must not been enough work or whatever. And I found her a job with one of my friends, some local Cambodians that I became friends with. It's a cleaning girl, and they told me her whole staff when she wasn't there, when I'd stop in to go visit with everybody. I just for play, I asked them. I was like, how many kids does Mean have? And they're like, she told us she has five, and they're like, two of them are with an Italian guy or whatever. And I would just keep asking my girlfriend. I was like, how many babies did you say you have? And she'd always say three. I'll I'm gonna go with what she told her whole staff, the five. So yeah, that's just something you're gonna have to deal with. And then another one of my buddies that's lived in Cambodia as a teacher. It's been 8 years now since he's been there, and he's loved it so much he's never even gone across the border to Vietnam, even though Phnom Penh and Ho Chi Minh City are right next to each other. And he was telling me about his girlfriend. He's been single for a long time now, but he's like, yeah, my girlfriend, she lived with me for 3 years, and I think she said she had two kids. He's like, I was aware of it. We go to her family's province, for all the holidays. And um, he's like, eventually I asked, like, my brother-in-law over there, he's like, uh, why is little Timmy always looking at me at all these family events? And the brother-in-law's like, well, that's your girlfriend's uh, youngest son. She all that time she was kept that a secret. So that is something you're gonna have to deal with in Cambodia. Now, with me coming to Vietnam, I didn't know what to expect, you guys, other than watching all the videos. And I asked my buddy that's lived in Cambodia all this time, which he's never been to Vietnam, so we have to say um, that he probably didn't know shit either. But I was like, are the Vietnamese gonna look like Cambodians and Thai girls? Because I feel they're very similar. And he's like, nope. He's like, they're gonna look Vietnamese. They're more of a Chinese. And you guys, this guy was spot on, because coming from Thailand and Cambodia, but especially Thailand, my years of experience there, I met so many Chinese people. Thailand is a huge vacation destination for Chinese people. And when you meet Chinese women, from my experience over there, and I met a lot of them, they're big. They are 5'8", 5'10" tall women, and they're not skinny. They are big. They're bigger boned. They got huge legs on them, big calves, big thighs, and like even my roommate uh, in Phnom Penh, she was from Taiwan, so Taiwan pretty much considers themselves China. She was 5'10", and she was bigger boned and bigger legs too, bigger thighs, bigger calves, and so I didn't know what to expect when I came to Vietnam. So when I came here, the first thing I noticed about these women here, the eyes. They have the most beautiful eyes I have ever seen. They got the monolid eyes. So, um, which, yeah, just very attractive eyes here. And then as for their face, they got a bigger face. They're like all the YouTube videos you see it of the girls riding there. They have a big smile or whatever, but they do have a bigger face. Lots of glasses, higher cheekbones and everything. More of a um, I don't know, more round or whatever in their face and stuff like that. Of the cheekbones is kind of what I notice here. And as for the bodies on them here, they are as big as I am. Like they're not petite women. I see on some people's YouTube videos they're trying to promote Vietnam and everything. They're like the Vietnamese women are the skinniest women in the world. They weigh 95 to 100 or 100, yeah, 95 to 112 pounds, or no, 85 to 112 pounds. This is from 0 all the way to the age of 80, so they say they age gracefully and all of that. And I'm going to tell you that's complete bullshit. The women, like I said, the women here are all about the same size as me. They're 5'8". So they're when I think of a petite woman, they gotta be like 5'2". 5'2" is petite. That's small bone structure. Thailand and Cambodia girls are petite. Um, and I guess we call Philippines petite just because they're small too. But here with them having the bigger bones, they're they don't have the toothpick legs here. Um, and their hips are definitely not narrow. These girls got more of the curves, in which I have to say these Vietnamese traditional dresses that they wear here, which you guys will see all over YouTube and everything, they have got to be the sexiest dresses I've probably ever fucking seen in my life. They are skin freaking tight and yeah, very sexy. But like I said, these girls do not have narrow hip bones. Um, they got a little bit more of a butt on them too, like not too big, but either way, you're dealing with the really wide hip bones here. Um, so far, everybody has been super friendly here. Like Thai girls, they kind of more keep to themselves. You know, they're quiet. And then you got your Cambodian girls, and they will say hi to you every morning. If you say hi to them, even if you're probably don't have the best intentions, which I see a lot of guys don't, you know, like kind of catcalling, the girl she'll still say hi, but she kind of skirmishes off right away or whatever. Well, here in Vietnam, everybody is super friendly. Like everybody will give you a smile. If you say hi, they'll say hi back and everything. So yeah, and I see a lot of foreigners up here in Da Nang. Pretty much all the foreigners up here have a Vietnamese girlfriend. Most of them are not that skinny though. These Vietnamese girls, they got big calves on them, big thighs on them, but they all seem really happy, I guess, you know. So as of right now in my travels, I haven't been to Laos yet, you guys. So I'm not even going to comment on what Laos women look like. Um, and everybody had told me that I'm supposed to go to do the entire Indochina thing of go to Malaysia and Indonesia as well. Well, I watched so many videos on the Malaysian Indonesians, and I don't really have any experience with the Indonesia girls, you guys, but I've had a lot of girls that are roommates from Malaysia, and I thought they were Filipinos. They look Filipino. They have Filipino accents. So I don't really see the point in me going to Malaysia or Indonesia, just because of the fact that if they look Filipino, the only difference is going to be, and they speak Filipino, is that they are Muslims. And whereas if you go to the Philippines, they're Christians, they're going to have more in common with me. Because a lot of people told me, though, that if you want to have a family and have babies with a Muslim girl over here, her parents and her, they might say that they're okay with it, but eventually they are going to pressure you to join Islam. And like me, I kind of consider myself agnostic. You know, like I was born Christian, raised Christian, but I'm not practicing. Um, so I'm not a religious person. I just kind of away from that bullshit. You know, I just follow the golden rule of treat others how you want to be treated, which I feel is the right way to live life, and that is the spiritual way that pretty much everybody should live their lives. So there, like I said, with Islam being a super religious religion, I'm not joining it because I'm not committed to that to a religion. So um, but yeah, as of right now, like I said, I still have Laos on the list. I still have to explore more of Vietnam here. Um, I but as of right now, for me, the best fits are definitely, and I also am going to go back to the Philippines and explore the other parts because, like I said, the girls um, that I was around and everything in like Manila, because that's the only region that I have explored. Um, they didn't they didn't have the black hair and everything. So I want to visit. I want to do Cebu, which when my buddies in the United States, he was in his 40s and he ended up marrying an 18-year-old over there from the Philippines, and she had the black hair and black veins and black eyes and the dish nose and all that. And they have 5 babies together. Now he's in his 60s. She's probably like 43 or something like that. She's still working at the nursing home, and he's getting his pension. And he's the one taking the kids to all their soccer games and their t-ball games. And this guy, I have never seen him more happy in my entire life. And his wife is super happy, with all her friends too. He's like, all these little kids of mine, he's like, they make me feel so young. And he's like, now that I'm retired, I'm not chasing my paycheck where I don't have time to be at all my kids' school activities and everything. He's like, I have every minute of my free time I dedicate to my children. He's like, my children are my life. And I think it is just wonderful. And who knows, maybe nothing's guaranteed in this life. And that's the way that my mentality is. I might never find the right girl to have babies with. And I might never get that that chance to have um, the holidays and everything, of watching my children opening their Christmas presents and all that. But I have hope, and I never want to give up that hope, and I want to give myself the best chance. And uh, like Mark Edward Davis said, he's the one that got me into ever even considering going overseas, looking for a woman to settle down with and start a family with. And his what he said was just a great saying, because he was 43 years old when he married his 18-year-old wife from Ukraine. And he said, um, quit trying to sell ice to an Eskimo. And that saying really resonated with me. In the United States, so many of my friends and people in my community, young men, 25 years old, 22 years old, even in their 40s, they blew their brains out or they hung themselves over a girlfriend. They were so crazy about her, and then one day she woke up and she didn't love them anymore. And like all my grandma's friends used to always say, it's not worth committing suicide over your girlfriend. There's plenty of pebbles on the beach. But what they don't understand is in the United States, with there being such a shortage of women and everything, this stuff happens. But the what I'm here to tell you guys is here in Asia, there are so many women that are looking for somebody that's different than themselves. They look in the mirror and they see their black hair and their black eyes and their dish nose and they're super skinny. And that's how everybody is on this side of the world. And just you have to realize that the European culture, we are such a small portion of the makeup of the world. Most of the world is Asian. Most of the people live in China. So most people in the world have black hair, jet eyes, and they look in the mirror every day and they're like, I want to wake up from my sleep to a partner that doesn't look like me. So they're looking for us that come from of European descent, come from Africa. We're exotic to them, and that's what they want. And they want to bring that into their babies. The same with me. For my babies, I want to have them where it's that Asian culture in my babies too. Of those features. It's all our basic instincts. To bring other things that we don't have. So yeah, and then also one of my friends too from he was born in Africa and he ended up moving to the Philippines or to China, to Shenzhen, China, because there was more opportunity there. And he actually ended up getting married twice. His first girlfriend was from Hong Kong, and she was more of a barfly, so that their marriage didn't last. But his next wife, she um she is so sweet and feminine and everything, and he's like, um his saying he always told me was like, if you have rice every day, you want noodles. If you have noodles every day, you want rice. You want somebody different than you. Because like I said, you get bored at looking at your same face every day in the mirror. It's not that it's a bad face to look at. It's just that you want somebody that's different than you, that complements you. So, yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't tell you guys about Laos. Like I said, that's why I'm just calling this a part one video. Once I actually get to Laos, and and then I can tell you guys, what the personality of the girls there, and what the physical features of the girls are there. It'll hopefully it'll help all of you guys to decide which country you want to visit first. Which country is going to give you the best chance of finding the woman that you find physically attractive. Because, like I said, what I find physically attractive in a woman might not be what you guys find physically attractive. Like one of my buddies here, the first foreigner I met up here in Cambodia when I moved there, he'd just gotten his Thai girlfriend pregnant, so he had to make the visa runs because he wanted to be there for give himself the longest visa uh, to stay there for the birth of his baby. And that's another thing. Like, I want to be at home for the birth of my baby. I'm not like that traditional, like my grandparents' generation, where the man waits on the waiting room. I want to be in this operating room and watch my child come into the world, and take their first breath of air. I think that's just wonderful. And I think that's another thing that's so wonderful about us younger generations in the United States now, that it's being a dad is one of the most important things. Like all the men are in that operating room watching their baby be born and take their first breath, and experience that all with their wife, and it's just wonderful that the man is more involved in that kind of stuff. So, which I guess probably goes a little bit away from the gender roles of grandma and grandpa's generation, but but yeah, it's just, and I might ramble on a little bit more in this video because, like I said, this video is mostly made for me, uh, of me to look back on, of what country that I want to spend most of my time in, of the girls that I like. And so as of right now, I've lived in. Oh, and I can't say too much about Japan other than the airports. And the Japanese women, they're all super tall. They're all like 5'10" of the ones in the airports. I haven't actually been out in the communities or nothing. So, because like a lot of the men that I meet over here, I'm like, so what do you think is the sexiest Asian women out here that you guys would want to have babies with? And so many of them are like, we really like Japanese girls. And for me, the Japanese girls, they don't have the dish nose that I like. They got more of a hook nose or whatever, so they're um, not what I'm looking for in somebody that's different than me. So as of right now, the prettiest girls I have met are definitely Thailand. For physically, they have the perfect body, narrow hips, uh, no butt on them. They do have brown hair rather than black, which black hair is always sexier. But it it might be a winning or it might be a losing battle. I mean, there is always a chance, if I would go up north into the provinces, like um, Isan, which everybody said that there really isn't much for cities up there to even meet a girl. But um, there's Udon Thani, and then there's like Udon Ratch in theory, which I met some girls from up there. And I'm not saying they weren't that attractive or nothing, these girls, but I have heard about a few foreigners that did move up there because it's a college town. So you're going to get a young fertile wife in her 20s, this fresh out of university. So who knows? I might end up there in that Udon Ratchet theory, that big college town. That's why a lot of men, the retired guys, end up moving to Dumaguete, Philippines, all because it's a college town. They have Silliman University there, and they meet a girl, that's 18 to 22 or whatever, and they're nice and fertile so that you can have babies. Because a lot of these retired guys moving over here, like so they're 57 and or 62, and they never got the chance to have babies of their own, and now they're finally given that opportunity. And like I said, me, I want to have babies of my own, so I'm gonna go for the opportunity of having a younger woman. Uh, so, and plus, I'd want to live with a woman for 5 years and experience that whole dating scene for a long-term relationship for that long before I want to have babies, even though she's the woman that I probably want to have babies with. I want to have our singles couples time for that amount of time because in over all my relationships in my life, my relationships have never lasted over a year. So I never got that opportunity to have a relationship with a girl for 2 years or 7 years of like so many men in the United States. Like my brothers, they dated all the girlfriends for 2 years, 7 years, just really long relationships before they ended up ever marrying their wives. But the funny thing about my brothers is I think that I know one of them. He um his girlfriend, with him being in so many different long dating relationships, his girlfriend after only 2 years of living with her, they got engaged. So I think within 3 years they were married. So, but like me, marriage is not an option for me, um, because my family, my parents have been divorced so many times. All I ever saw was failure. And then with me, with my past relationships in my life in the United States, I all I ever saw, like I treated my girlfriend so good, like a princess, and they all eventually they woke up one day and they didn't love me anymore. Or else 10 guys freaking hitting on them, and like me, I'm a worker. I, I'm a provider. I work hard, and any woman that's with me, she never has to worry about not having a place to lay her head at night and not having to food in her stomach, not having a meal on the table. Because me, I came from I'm a child of poverty. My dad left when I was a little kid before I was ever in school, you guys. So I was raised by a single mother, and she did the best to raise us, all of us kids. But I remember one time I was at my dad's house. He was just worthless. He didn't care about supporting us. He always told us growing up that um, that I don't need to save for retirement. He's like, when I go to retire, all of you kids are going to financially fund my retirement. You guys are going to support me, and that couldn't be that like you help people out that um how to say that feel that they don't deserve it. Well, my dad wasn't like that. My dad, the only reason he had babies was to um to have children to financially support him because here in Asian culture over here, like they don't have social security, they don't have 401ks, so everybody buys houses and condos and rents them out, which that's what we're taught in the United States too. You either invest in your 401k, IRA, your mutual funds and index funds, or else you buy single family starter homes, the little 1 and 2 bedroom grandma houses for 60,000 whatever, and you rent them out and you'll have a steady rental income for the rest of your life, and that's what funds your retirement. And honestly, meeting all the expats over here, um, I meet so many retired guys that are like 36 years old. They claim to be retired. They don't work or anything like that. And how most of them are funding it, they all own 1 or 2 houses in their home country, whether it's Australia, the UK, wherever. And they rent them out, and that's what pays for them to live here. So, like me, I have a house back in the United States, and for me to financially support a family, I would be able to support it. Because and plus, I went back to university at an older age, so I can get an English teaching job anywhere in the world. So my plan would be when I meet a nice girl here and I really like her and everything, I'm gonna probably rent out my house for $1,500 a month in my home country, and I'm probably not gonna work because um, I kind of found like uh, yeah, like I'm more a physical worker than like mentally. Like mentally stuff really drains me or whatever with the school teaching. So me and her, I for me contributing to the household because I'm sure she's gonna have a job too. Uh, would be my house rental income, and I'm very conservative. I take the bus everywhere. I walk everywhere, and all that. So I rent out the house. But once I have babies, I'm gonna have to get a job. Then I would get the teaching jobs. Then those 3 incomes, like because when I was working in Cambodia, right at the end, I did get a job, you guys. Um, at one of the schools, and I was getting $1,700 a month, working 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday. So I had the weekends off. This wasn't your traditional Cambodian school where they want you to work Saturdays too. Freaking stupid. Because with me being from American culture, we work hard, super hard, so that we can just rest at the end of the week. So with my job teaching in Phnom Penh when I was there, um, I think school started us teachers had to be there at like 7:30 in the morning, I believe is what time it was, and then school ended at like 4:20. We were able to leave at 4:20. The kids left at like 4 or something like that, maybe 3. I forgot. It's been a little while now. But yeah, so I'll probably end up doing that once I have to support babies. And a lot of the retired guys here have told me, they're like, why don't you work, 10 more years in the United States and just hoard away your money, don't travel, nothing like that. Well, the most fertile years of my life are here. My biological clock is ticking. And like I said, I'm 40 years old this year. And I want to have babies. I don't want to push it off until age 62 of me having my babies or 57 if I don't have to. I want to have them here right now, you know? So, um, so yeah, that's where I'm at there. And what else about it? But here at my hostel, people really like smoking. Yeah, I don't know why there's a pipe here, but yeah, cigarette butts everywhere here. So, um, yeah, it's probably about 6:30 in the morning here in Vietnam right now. And my plan today, you guys, is I'm gonna probably take the bus up to the airport and see if it actually goes up there. Yesterday, I took it up to the Big C Super Center and waited an entire hour for it, which you guys have probably seen that video by the time this one is released. Yeah, and I would love to hear in the comment section what you guys all found is the most beautiful women here in Asia of you guys that have actually been to like all the Asian countries too. Because um, I originally this winter here, since my work schedule here nowadays is that I work the 6 months of summer, 5 to 6 months of summer, and I work 14-hour days, and I work Saturdays, and I'd work Sundays if they needed me to, and I just eat cheap summer sausage sandwiches, and so just cut my living expenses super cheap. I turn the heat way down to 60 degrees all year long. And then for the winter time, I just live off that money and just coast all winter from either October 1st or October 31st all the way until May 1st when I'll come back to my home country and do this. And I'm going to continue doing this, you guys, until I find the girl that I want, that I see that I have a future with and want to have a long-term relationship with her. And see, and by long-term relationships, the only way that I really have a long-term relationship with anybody, guys, is if I can see myself having babies with them in the future. And when I meet that girl, then I will not come back to the United States. I will move over here because with all the bullshit that's going on in the United States, Australia, Europe, all the Western countries, all this woke crap, I am not going to raise my little babies into that. I want to give my babies the same childhood that I had. So it is so fucking unhealthy putting little kids into that. And as an adult, I feel that us adults are responsible for the safety of the little children who can't take care of themselves. And yeah, there isn't going to be a man walking into the bathroom when my little girl is going in there. If that happens, I'm walking in there too, and I'm going to be standing right outside that stall while she's taking a poop because I don't trust that freaking man that's wearing a dress walking into there. So here in Asia, you don't like we have ladyboys and stuff like that, but yeah, we're definitely not in that freaking level that the Western freaking countries are. So, like I said, there's a reason that I left the United States, and it's bad for marriages too. Like Gio in the Philippines always says, if as a foreigner moving to the Philippines, you are the hot commodity because you're the rare one. If you move your Filipina to the United States or your Western country, she is the hot commodity. It's going to be just like every other good woman that we have in the United States. She's going to have, while you're at your job, you're going to have 10 or 20 men that are hitting on your married wife. So, I'm sure that there are examples where bad things don't happen like that, but the vast majority they do. And why would you take the risk? Exactly. Why would you put yourself in a um, in that situation? You try to get away from it. Like even me over the years, I've changed in the United States. The Western culture, me as a man, it has changed me. And and our women, like they're sweet, when you're most of the girls that you grew up with in grade school and junior high and high school when you were those ages, they were nice and sweet too. But as they grew up or whatever, the United States changed them. And me bringing a girl here from Asia to the United States, there's no doubt about it. She, when you're in a society, you're kind of an outcast if you don't conform to it. So she's going to have to conform to Western society's ideals and all this other bullshit. And eventually she's going to become a Western woman. And that's not the reason I move into Asia. It's because I want a traditional woman, that that I pay the bills at home. I'm the one that pays the rent. I I pay for the vehicles. I'm the guy that fixes our motorbike. I'm the guy that protects my little family of my girlfriend and our babies that we have together. And my woman, in return, you know, she gives me love. She's there. She emotionally supports me in anything that I want to do. She's my cheerleader in life. And um, yeah, I and yeah, and being able to wake up to a beautiful woman every morning, that's what invigorates us, man. She's my muse. She's what makes me want to work hard and support my family. But if she's a woman that's like Western culture that doesn't appreciate me, doesn't make me the best I want to be, I don't feel like paying the all the rent. I don't feel like paying for all the bills of the food and everything you know so why would I want to be a lesser version of myself? So yeah. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that for myself of what I want in life. And yeah, just trying to think about what all like the other YouTubers have said. Like I said, a lot from I I watch a lot of Geo in the Philippines. I don't watch him so much, but he's so practical, like of all the of how to get a phone over here and all that kind of stuff. But like the most entertaining one that I find for the last like 3 years of my life has been Paul in the Philippines, old dog, new tricks. He that guy he lives one heck of a life. You can tell that guy is from Las Vegas. He he's been married twice. He married his like high school sweetheart fresh out of high school, and he had an amazing marriage with her until she got cancer and passed away. And he had two little kids, and he's big into gender roles too. And so he met another wife, and she decided she wanted to adopt some kids too or whatever, but he married the wrong woman. All she ever did was bicker at him every day when he got home from work. He couldn't do anything right for her. And eventually he realized that he married the wrong woman. I'm gonna unplug this computer so it doesn't so harm the battery. And he went 15 years um, without a dating scene because in the United States, like you said, if there's any younger coworker that he finds attractive, a girl there, you say hi or flirt with them or whatever, instantly they say sexual harassment. I'm going to turn you into HR and all that. Whereas here in Asia, moving over here, you don't have to deal with that. If you like a girl, you tell her, and if she doesn't like you, she'll just walk off. But if she does, I mean, it builds up the women here, for their self esteem or whatever. And like him, even when he moved to the Philippines, he said he went through a few girlfriends. Like I'm not, I guess I'm not like Geo in the Philippines and Old Dog New Tricks. I guess they did more of the casual dating, and I don't casual date because my biggest fear, even when I was in high school with my girlfriend back then, I never had sex with her unless we used a condom. and I hate condoms. And the only time that we did have sex without a condom was when she was on her period, because then at least we knew that she couldn't get pregnant. But there is always that risk that, and it wasn't just me. All my buddies when I was in a lot of youth leadership stuff when I was in high school and when I was going to college when I was 19 and 20. All my buddies, all of us guys that graduated in the 2000s, from high school, that was kind of all of our mentality. That's the way that we did it with all of our girlfriends, and amazingly, none of us ever got our girlfriends pregnant. But they do always say that there is a chance that you can get your girlfriend pregnant. And with my sex practices, there is that chance. So I always make sure that when I'm dating a girl that I could see myself, she has to be a girl that I could see myself having babies with in the future and spend the rest of my life with. So, but like Gio in the Philippines, you could tell him and Paul, they dated quite a few girls that were not, that they definitely could not see themselves having babies with in the future and for the rest of their lives, with these women or whatever. And then, like Paul in the or Old Dog New Tricks, Paul in the Philippines. There, I'll just refer to him as Old Dog New Tricks. He said it took him like 2.5 years to meet his wife right now, and she was met through a mutual friend, and like I said, that's how I met my girlfriend in Cambodia. Was through a mutual friend. We just hung out with the same people, and I just couldn't keep my eyes off her. I thought she was so sexy and just so beautiful, and I didn't hide it. She was, yeah, she was hot and super nice too. So yeah, what else about that there? So yeah, old dog new tricks. He's happy. He said he's 69 years old right now. But he came to the Philippines when he's 62, and he's like, I have no intention of having babies. And this is where I'm in a different situation than Gio in the Philippines and Paul in the Philippines, because Paul has babies. His wife doesn't, but I think she's okay with it because like her her looks are so important to her. She's 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 a year younger than me. She's 39 years old, and she she buys two-piece bikinis all the time, dresses super sexy. That's just her thing, and I don't think she wants to wreck her body having babies. So they're a good fit for each other. And so yeah, like I said, the main thing with Old Dog New Tricks is he's got babies from two different marriages, so he has his children. And Gio in the Philippines, he's got three boys from his previous marriage in the United States. So he said he doesn't want to have kids because he's got kids of his own. And plus, his wife, she has a baby of her own already from a previous marriage. So they're both happy. They got that. But as for me, a single guy that has no babies, that doesn't fly with me. I want a girl. I want to be able to have babies of my own, at least have that option. And I want a girlfriend that doesn't have babies of her own either, because that's such a special thing for a husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend in my case, because I'm never getting married, but it's going to be like a marriage. I'm gonna Once I have babies with her, I'm gonna be with her for the rest of my life. Um, is experiencing that moment in our lives together as a couple, watching our first child come into this world and take their first breath of air and welcome that baby into this life, and show them that they are so loved. And yeah, that and that little baby is going to be so happy to be here because we are going to give them the best life that we can. We are going to love the shit out of that little baby, and all through their life until the day that me and my girlfriend die, that baby is going to know that they're loved and that they can always come to us. And here's another financial thing there of where that comes from, of Western culture compared to Asian culture. Like my dad, like I said, he didn't want to pay child support on us kids, and he told us ever since we were kids that he doesn't need to save for retirement. We're gonna financially support him. So he's just been a bum. He'll pick up a job or whatever, and then he gets tired of it, and then he'll quit and he'll just coast. He has no money, never bought a house, never saved for retirement, nothing like that. But so he somehow thinks that it's like the older generation in the United States where parents had tons of babies or whatever, and the parents gave them a good life. The parents would pay for the college for the first child, and then that first child, they would go ahead and they would pay for university for the next child. Well, my dad, he wanted he wanted the cake, or he wanted both ends of it. You got to give something in order to have something on the other end. So, like here in Asia, the parents that I've noticed out here is they pay for their kids' university. My dad sure as hell never paid for my university. He never paid for anything to support me growing up. Uh, um, so it was me and my mom. My mom helped me out whatever she could. So being a single mother, so yeah, she gave us as she was a cheerleader for us kids, and I will always appreciate that with my mom. So my mom will always have a place in my home. So yeah, in American culture, they always tell us, don't send money to your parents or whatever. If your parents are struggling, or if your children are struggling, um, you don't reward bad behavior. You tell them that, hey, you can move into the spare bedroom in my house and you can have all your meals at the dinner table with me. I'm not going to give you any money, but you can live with me until you get back on your feet to get a place of your own. So that's the way I feel about, um, with us children, if we got to help our parents out, or if someday when I'm a parent, having to take care of my children if they run into rough times too. Well, here in Asia, they like I said, they don't have Social Security, they don't have 401k, they don't have IRAs. I don't think they have the best stock markets for mutual funds and index funds. So what they do here is they buy condos and houses like we do in the United States, and they rent them out, and that is their steady pension for the rest of their lives. And all the girls that like I met from visit with like from China and stuff like that, they told me that they live with mom and dad until they get married. So like I met quite a few girls from China that are 28 years old, and their brother might be 30 years old, and they all live with their parents. And I was like, oh, okay. And yeah, there's no point in paying rent if we don't need a big apartment because we're a couple or have babies yet. We don't have that yet. We don't have a boyfriend or babies yet. And I was like, yep, that makes total sense, because I was like, even in the United States, it's frowned upon to live with your parents. But honestly, I think it's kind of wonderful if you like don't know where you want to live or anything like that, and you're kind of traveling with your job. I think it's perfectly okay to live with mom and dad, as long as you're not a freeloader, as long as you're contributing and paying rent. $300 a month rent for the room. And when mom needs you to take out the trash, you take out the trash. If the house needs to be reshingled, mom sure as hell shouldn't have to go pay a contractor to reshingle her house. It's going to be me up on that roof shingling her house with free labor. Um, I'm a mechanic by trade. That's what my 2-year associate's degree is in. So I can fix anything. Um, Cars, pickups, motorcycles, four-wheelers. I can do it, and especially YouTube videos to help out. So whenever my mom's car needs an oil change or needs new brake pads or there's something wrong with it, she doesn't need to take it to a mechanic. That's my responsibility as her son to do that. Um, so so yeah, that's how it is here in Asia. And like I said, here someday when I have babies, if my babies fall in tough times, which another thing, um, of bringing things to the table, my babies, they're going to have dual passports, even though they're going to be raised here in in Asia, where whichever country, I don't care which freaking country I end up spending the rest of my life in. It's going to be wherever I meet the girlfriend that I want to have babies with and start a family with together. Our babies are going to have a dual passport. My girlfriend won't, but my babies will, because like I said, there's no point in her moving to the United States, because then I'd be left behind. All that would be is our relationship splitting, going two different ways. That'd be fucked up. Uh, so, but like I said, our babies, they're gonna have the dual passport, and they will be raised here in Asia, so that they get that nice, clean life of a child, feeling safe and everything that I got. back growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s. So, but once they get to university level or they want to go find a job, since Western culture, United States does pay better, they will have that option. And I'm sure what I've seen for a lot of it, like a lot of the Filipinos and Asians that move over to the United States for work or whatever, pretty much all of them, when they're ready to retire, or else with them, coming from a low paying country like this, everybody's very conservative and saves their money and invests for their future. So they all retire in their, you know, 40s and 50s, anyways, rather than waiting until your 401k matures at the age of 60 years old in the United States, or you get your Social Security at age 62, just because they're very conservative people and they know what it's like to live on nothing. And I know what it's like to live on nothing too. Because I remember when I was 8 years old, there was a big turning point in my life. We were at my dad's house with his second wife, and he's been divorced 3 times now, having babies with everybody. And my dad is a very charming man. He has it where he can make anybody feel sorry for him, you know, and it's just he's got that charisma or whatever. But with me knowing him all my life, I know that that's just a very deceitful um, thing, and he can hold up that whole he can put on that show for years and years. He can put on that show for 10 years. He is he is that good at what he does. Like even my mom's boyfriend here in the United States, he seemed like the most knight in shining armor guy I ever met. You know, he spoiled the heck out of my mom. He'd always give her cards, thinking of you. It didn't even have to be just Valentine's Day. He'd buy her chocolates and a card or whatever, and he helped her with everything around the place. And after 8 years, we found out that it was all a big show. He was actually dating other women on the side ever since they even were in a relationship. He was spoiling all these women like that. So there are men and women that are super charming like that. And like even one of my girlfriends in the United States, not the one that was like Cameron Diaz, another one. She was such a charming person. All of us guys, she was kind of a runner, she'd sleep around, whatever, go from guy to guy to guy. But you couldn't help but love her just because she was that charming. She could make any guy love her, and that's how it was. That's how she ended up getting me, that girlfriend that time. So, which we dated for about a year or two. So, yeah, just realize that anybody can put on a show for you guys, and you got to cover your butt. And like I said, this video is mostly made for me, for my reference too, as I get older, and a diary of my life, and a reference to me that not like the priest said, nothing lasts forever, no relationship, and you have to always have that in the back of your mind, that you've always got to have an exit out of the situation. Like um, for me to ever come over here and get married, and one day after 25 years raising our babies, she wakes up in the morning and she loves a different man, doesn't love me, and for me to give up all my everything I ever saved for retirement and have to start all over, I don't ever want to do that again. And me being a good person, and I know I'm a good person, um, I like I said, I would, as long as things are going good, I would stay in a relationship with a woman, but um, and I also realized too that someday things could go south. You could end up in a sexless marriage or something like that, and that's not a relationship that I want to be in either. I would be totally unhappy with that too. So got to make sure that you keep your partner happy. Us guys, like like one of the old grandma neighbors I was visiting with one day, her husband passed away years ago, and just um, you know, maybe everything was taboo to talk about back in the day. I think people in the United States, even the grandparents are more open now of talking about that kind of stuff. So me and her, I think I took the window air conditioner out of our house, and we were just visiting, and I told her, that I traveled to Asia, and I'm looking for a good girlfriend to have babies with and start a family of my own with, and all that, and I was like, it doesn't take much to keep me happy. And before I could let out another word, she told me, she's like, yeah, I've been married for many years. And she's like, I have men all figured out. Men think very simple. And I was like, yes, we do think very simple. She's like, men, all that men really need is a food on the table and us and sex every once and a little sex and a regular sex routine, you know. So at least the women understand that, like, because like you hear about some men here in the Western cultures, you know, that have been married and they're like, yeah, we haven't, our wife hasn't had sex with us for 15 years. That's like unacceptable. That's like a basic human need for a man, you know. And um, so yeah, if a woman isn't willing to have sex with her man, you know, probably 3 times a week, maybe once a week is would be the furthest gap. Um, that's not normal. So and I like I said, I know that I wouldn't be happy with that. And um, I guess like Paul in the Philippines, he's kind of jokes around with it and everything, you know, with him being 69 and his wife being 39, and he's like, with him, you know, he's like my 39-year-old wife, especially like if you settle down with a Filipina, like the women there have a very high sex drive, and that's the thing that I'm not gonna say about all of the other Asian cultures, but in the Philippines, those women they don't like wearing a condom because that doesn't feel right. And all of us guys, I don't like condoms anywhere, anyways either. I hate them, and um, they're like we yeah, they're very highly sexually active. They have a very high lust for sex, just like men do. So um, so that's why a lot of guys go to the Philippines, because you will have a good long family life and be able to have lots of babies with your Filipino over there. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call this video good, you guys. And like I said, I do want to make a second video after I go to Laos, and maybe I'll even make a third video when I after I go to the Philippines, because like I said, I want to go to Cebu, um, Dumaguete, and Valencia, where you don't even need air conditioning because it's up in the mountains, and where the electricity costs twice as much as the United States there. And I'm also going to go to the island of Leyte, and I think that's more of the regions where the women have, they call them morenas or whatever, where they have the jet black hair and the black eyes and everything. You know, kind of my type of women for those features and the dark skin. I like girls with dark skin. So, which I guess is another Western culture thing. Ever since we're kids with Cameron Diaz and all that, we like girls. We like tans. We think a tan. If somebody gets a tan, it's beautiful. So, um, yeah, yeah. So yeah. Anyways, might be 2 or 3 more videos I'm gonna make on this of the differences between these here. And like I said, I probably won't end up going to Malaysia and Indonesia, just because they're so much like the Filipinos from what I've seen, anyways, with my roommates and stuff like that. So, all right. If you guys like this content, like, share, and subscribe. And I will keep kicking out more videos here from Da Nang, Vietnam, on how to save you guys money, the progress of me finding a good woman to have babies of my own with. Um, and yeah, I'd love to hear in the comment section, you know, like you guys' experiences of where you guys have found the most beautiful girls. Because so far, most of my roommates when I was living in Cambodia, like there was an old retired guy. He said he's been to every single Asian country in the world, and so that would include the cold ones too, which would be Japan, China, Taiwan, and South Korea. Um, in which I had planned on going those, but they're too cold for me. I don't want to. I came from a cold climate in the United States, and if I never experience another damn winter in my life of 53 or 56 degrees, I'd be perfectly happy. I like these hot Asian countries. I like hot, humid weather like Florida and Alabama and yeah, I love it. So, but yeah, anyways, this retired guy, he said he's lived in every Asian country, and he told me the most beautiful women that he has ever met are the countryside women in Vietnam. He's like they're so innocent and they love the simple life, and um, yeah, that most of them already have babies, you know, up in the mountains of Vietnam and everything. But he's like that's what he found to be the most beautiful. And most of my roommates are English teachers. They had to come and do border runs to Cambodia, and all of them, they're like, Cambodia's too boring. They're like, we love Vietnam, and a lot of them have babies with the Vietnamese girls. So obvious, it's pretty freaking obvious. And one of them, he even had a baby. He's from India, and he had a baby with one of the Vietnamese girls. So it's obvious that those guys, they all feel the Vietnamese women are the sexiest, most beautiful women to have a baby with in the world. So it's kind of, I'm not really seeing it here. Like I said, they're more of a bigger bone structure here. I like petite women. Um, so as of right now, I like the Cambodian and Thai women are my type of women right now. And with me going to the Philippines, I'll be experience those other areas where it's black, with the black hair and the black eyes. And who knows, I might end up meeting the love of my life there. Um, I guess what you think you want might not always be what that person of that you've been dreaming about, is. Because like this, I was saying, like country music songs in the United States, and like even yeah, even like my English teacher when I was in high school in the United States, she said when she met her husband, she couldn't stand his freaking guts. She thought he was arrogant and everything and was not her type. But after time, he grew on her and they started dating, and he ended up being her dream, and that's the same thing that he said about her too. So I might end up meeting a Filipina and she might be the love of my life, or who knows, whatever the heck the Laos girls look like, might start meet her and she might be love of my life. And same with Vietnam here. While I'm here for this month, I might meet a girl that I just can't resist, and she might be the one. But yeah, as of right now, of like I said, as a whole, of giving myself the best chance, definitely um, Cambodia. Definitely Cambodia. They're me and the Cambodian people. We just get along really freaking good. And um, and uh, and then Thailand. If I would try Thailand, it would probably, if I ever decide to go back there, it would probably be up north. Not Udon Thani, but Udon Ratchan Theory, um, where they have the big college town or whatever. Because I want a younger woman that's fertile. And we have plenty of years of dating before we have to have babies before she hits menopause. So, um, yeah. And which menopause, by the way, you guys, according to Google, can hit a woman age 45 to 55 years old. So you better. I don't know how long you guys like to date your girlfriends before you're ready to have a baby with them. For me, 5 years. So, and then yeah. So, yeah, I think this is gonna be the end of this video. So, all right. If you guys like this content, like I said, subscribe, and I'll keep kicking them out. So, take care, you guys. Bye.